Good evening, friends. I'm Dr. Ajay Shah, bringing this another Facebook Live. I just got home actually from work and I'm fasting today, just a water only fasting. So I've saved a lot of time in terms of eating and cooking and spending time in the kitchen. So I have a little bit more time to read, to study, to watch some YouTube videos and bring you this Facebook Live. Today's topic is a continuous series on weight loss. And this is segment number 21. So if you are new to this series, when we are done, please watch segment 1 to 20. Each segment has information on how you can lose weight. Start with segment 1. Segment 1 actually already has been watched almost 300 times. So it has a lot of good information. So watch segment 1 and then watch all 20 segments. So let's start with segment 21, segment for today. Uh, First question I ask you is, what did you eat for breakfast today? Because how you start your breakfast sets your day, whether you're going to lose any weight that day or not. And starting breakfast in a healthy way is the most important thing you can do when you wake up in the morning. A lot of people are recommending to skip breakfast, and that's a fair call. In general, I personally believe that you should have a heavy breakfast and very light dinner. Some people do no breakfast and have a moderate dinner or heavy dinner around 6 or 7 o'clock. Try to achieve that intermittent fasting. In my opinion, that's actually opposite. In America, socially, it's easier to have a heavy dinner and no breakfast because in the morning we are rushed, we want to go to work, and it's easy to skip the breakfast in the morning. But if you look at the circadian rhythm, if you look at how our body's internal clock is set for last 2, 3, 6 million years, we actually are designed to eat heavy breakfast and eat light dinner. And humans have done that for millions of years until about 50 or 60 years ago. So again, having a heavy breakfast, in my opinion, is a healthier thing to do that sets our internal circadian clock, not just in our brain, but also in each cell into our body. Actually, there is even enough proof that our pancreatic cells, where we make insulin, also has the highest amount of sensitivity in the early morning hours when we secrete the most insulin. So if you eat the same calorie breakfast versus the same calorie dinner, the rise in the sugar actually is higher after the same calorie dinner in the evening. So it makes sense to eat high calories for your breakfast. So I want to ask you, what did you eat for your breakfast? If you're watching this thing, please go ahead and put in your comment section what you ate for the breakfast, and I will have my own comments on whether what you ate was healthy or not. So go ahead and type in the comment section, what did you eat for breakfast? So again, what should be ideal breakfast? Ideal breakfast should include green vegetables, either raw or cooked or in the smoothie form. Uh, Either you can have a raw or cooked vegetables, or you can take those green vegetables and turn it into a smoothie and drink the smoothie very slowly. So definitely have green vegetables for your breakfast. Chef AJ highly recommends eating green vegetables for the breakfast if you want to lose weight. Also have intact grains for breakfast. If you have only green vegetables, that's not enough calories because green vegetables gives you only 100 calories per pound, and that's not enough calorie in the early morning hours. So you will need calorie dense food in your breakfast also. That means you should be eating intact grains, and intact grains include oat groat or some form of oats that will give you intact grain. Having your oat groat in the morning is the easiest way to get calorie dense food for your breakfast. I also want you to have some form of protein in your breakfast. And the best way to get protein is a plant-based protein, and you can get actually either legume or lentils or beans in the breakfast. Matter of fact, Brenda Davis actually recommends to have some kind of beans, legumes, or lentils with each meal, including breakfast, including lunch, and including dinner. So two things I want you to realize from what I just described that most people are used to eating grains in their breakfast, but they are not used to eating green vegetables and intact and beans, legumes, and lentils in their breakfast. A lot of people will have protein in their breakfast in the form of animal food, either eggs or bacon or some kind of animal product or cheese or something in the breakfast. In my opinion, animal products should be avoided as much as possible. So try to have whole food, plant-based, no oil breakfast in the morning. And again, breakfast should include all three groups, including green vegetables, intact grains, and protein from plant-based source, including either beans, lentils, or legumes. Try to have a complete breakfast in the morning with adequate calories and with adequate all ingredients, including carbohydrate, protein, and fat. You can actually add small amount of seeds and nuts in the morning if you like to have some small amount of poly and monosaturated fat also. So that should be your breakfast. So I covered breakfast. Go ahead and type in what breakfast you had. If you're watching this thing on YouTube, go ahead and comment on YouTube also what breakfast you had, and I will answer whether I feel like you had a healthy breakfast or not. Next thing, my next question is, what did you have for dinner last night and what time you ate? Dinner should be the lightest meal, like I just explained, and dinner should have more of a green vegetables, raw and cooked, and try to have less grain and less protein as much as possible. So you should have a low glycemic food during your dinner, and try to have dinner 4 hours before you go to sleep, and try to avoid alcohol in the evening hours as much as possible. Alcohol not only will give you empty calories, but will disturb your sleep, and a disturbed sleep will make you hungry next day. So please try to eat 4 hours before you go to sleep. Try to have as much green vegetables as possible and have a lighter dinner with a much lower calorie. So you should have the heaviest breakfast, moderate calorie lunch, and very light, very, very light dinner. And that's the way all meals should be distributed. Uh, I also want to recommend all of you who are watching either on Facebook or on YouTube to join on our Facebook, our weight loss group. Our weight loss group has about 800 members. We post on a regular basis. We post what we eat. We post different recipes. I also answer every question in that group. So please join our Facebook group on weight loss and be interactive in that group as much as possible. You can also post what you ate, and I will also try to analyze it, and I'll try to help you with what you should be doing to lose weight. Um, let me explain you another concept, what we are made as human, or for that sake, as animals. As human, our nature is to eat calorie dense food because for most of the millennia, for last 2 to 6 millions, except last 30 or 40 years, we were always in scarcity of food. Sometimes we did not get food for a few days. So we were always in scarcity of food. So our genes, our design of the body is actually made to reach out for calorie dense food, because if you have lots of calorie in one meal and then if you don't have any food for next few days, you will survive only if you had a lot of calories. And to get a lot of calories in a quick manner in within your stomach size, the food had to be calorie dense. So our body, our genes are designed to eat calorie dense food. That's been going on for thousands of years. So our body is designed to eat calorie dense food. Our brain sends signals to our whole body to eat calorie dense food. So we are actually designed to eat calorie dense food. We are also designed not to move. We are also designed not to do any kind of activity, because thousands of years ago, when food was in scarcity, if you moved and if you burned a lot of calories, you will actually wither away to no muscle, no body tissue, no body fat. So our body is designed actually not to move and stay stationary or pretty much stay in the couch as much as possible. So naturally, we are at disadvantage for the current situation, what's going on in America and what's going on in the world. Definitely what's going on in America. Our body is designed to eat calorie dense food. That means a lot of calories per pound, and our body is designed not to move. So what's happening in America today? We have ready access to all the calories we need. We have fast food every intersection of the roads. We have gas stations filled with tons of unhealthy food, including even pizza, lots of chips, lots of Coke, lots of Pepsi, lots of nuts, and lots of unhealthy food, lots of donuts and lots of cookies and cakes. So every corner, every time you leave house, there is some kind of availability of food within 30 seconds, within 5 minutes. So every 1 to 2 minutes when you are driving in a city, there is access to food. And that access to food makes our natural instinct to reach out for the calorie dense food. And that's obviously a disadvantage for us. So we are fighting our genes, we are fighting our natural instinct to keep eating calorie dense food. And that's where I'm trying to show you, I'm trying to teach you how we can fight our natural instinct to eat calorie dense food. Our natural instinct also is not to move. And we are much more sedentary as we keep watching TV, keep watching Netflix, keep just sitting 8 hours at desk during the work. And that's actually also very, very detrimental to our health. So how can we do that? So I think to overcome this natural desire to eat calorie dense food, fortunately, nature has given us some protective mechanism. Our stomach has stretch receptors, our stomach has micronutrient receptors, and our stomach has caloric receptors. And if we satisfy two out of these three receptors, our desire to eat calorie dense food will go down. That means if you stretch your stomach by eating pound to pound and a half of food 3 times a day with low calorie dense food, average about 500 calories per pound, with eating a lot of green vegetables, a lot of fruits, a lot of intact grains, and a lot of beans and legumes, then you will stretch your you stretch your stress receptors in the stomach. If you eat a lot of micronutrients with whole food, plant-based, no oil diet, you will provide adequate micronutrients. And by satisfying those two receptors in the stomach, you will actually overcome this instinct, this natural desire to eat a lot of calorie dense food. Obviously, the caloric receptors will not be satisfied if you eat low calorie dense food. But let me tell you, for most people, those two receptors will overcome the caloric receptors and will not make you overeat. So understand this concept that our body is designed to eat calorie dense food, and we need to overcome that. That instinct, that desire has been going on for thousands of years, and we need to overcome that desire. So even though we are at disadvantage as human, we are much more smarter than our genes, and we can overcome that natural instinct to eat calorie dense food. Same way we can overcome our natural instinct to sit around and not move. We can make habit of regular exercise, moving every hour, walking as much as possible in the evening. For example, 5 years ago, I did not move much. I was working 8 hours on a desk, seeing patients, and then I would commute for 2 hours. And my steps were probably 2 or 3, 4,000 a day. I made a habit now. It's almost like a second nature to me now that I walk nonstop. Every day I walk anywhere from 18 to 22,000 steps. So I have overcome my natural instinct to just be stagnant. And any of you can do that. So go ahead, and if you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, go ahead and comment on how many steps you get per day right now. So this was the concept of what we are designed for and how we can overcome that. I also want you to understand that many of us don't realize that we all have certain kind of a test preferences, and those test preferences come from variety of reasons, and we all have test buds which were designed to have certain preference for the test. Some of us have preference for salty food, sour food, sweet food, spicy food, all different taste buds we have. But at the same time, the science actually has proven that we can change our taste buds by changing the food we eat. It may take a week or two to change your taste buds, but once you change your taste buds, you will start liking the newer taste, which could be typically no salt and no sweet taste. You can have your sweetness from fruits, and those are okay, but definitely not having the sweetness from sugar or many other refined carbohydrate. So again, you can change your taste buds in 2 weeks. So in the beginning, you may have those cravings, but let me tell you, in 2 weeks, your taste buds will change and you will start preferring healthier food and healthier taste. Uh, I was watching a video today, and it said in a very nice way that if the food, if God made it, eat it. If man ate it, don't eat it. Essentially, what the phrase is saying that try to avoid as much processed food as possible. 65% of calories in America come from a processed food. 65%. And in my opinion, and what I learned from Chef AJ, the major reason for obesity and being overweight and not able to lose weight is eating a lot of processed food. If one thing you can do starting today, if you want to lose weight seriously, is to stop eating processed food. That means stop eating cheese and chips and cakes and cookies and pizzas and box cereals and many of those processed food which was made in factory or man-made kitchen. So again, if God made it, eat it. That means eating natural food, green vegetables cooked and raw, and nuts and seeds, fruits, intact grains, and beans, legumes, and lentils. If God made it, eat it. If man made it, don't eat it. The next concept is concept of keeping insulin level low. Insulin is a hormone Insulin is a hormone which actually helps the sugar go into your cell and metabolize. But at the same time, insulin also has many other actions. One of the other insulin action is to keep promoting fat synthesis or making of fat. When insulin levels are high, you cannot get rid of the fat in the body. You cannot get rid of the fat in the body. So you need to keep your insulin level low. Insulin also behaves like a growth hormone, and high insulin level also can cause many cancers. So we need to keep insulin level low. People who are overweight or obese, people who are pre-diabetic, people who are type 2 diabetic, typically their insulin levels are very high, sometimes as high as more than 15, even 20, or even 30. So high insulin level definitely is not healthy. So you need to lower the insulin level. High insulin level also promotes the visceral fat, which actually is very unhealthy type of fat. Visceral fat, actually, all those fat cells actually secrete many substances, many hormones, which are actually responsible for causing a lot of inflammation and a lot of the metabolic disease and metabolic complications. So we need to keep insulin level low. Insulin level actually can be kept low by just simple losing weight, getting down to ideal body mass index of 22 or below, eating whole food, plant-based, no oil diet, eating light dinner, not eating 4 hours uh, uh, before sleep, um, and avoiding any sugar, avoiding any refined carbohydrate, avoiding high protein diet, avoiding keto diet, avoiding any kind of soda, including energy drinks, and doing all those things will keep your insulin level low. I want I want all of you to have your insulin level checked. You can actually ask your primary care physician to check your insulin level. And I want you to keep your insulin level below 5. My insulin level a few years ago was 13 or 14. Now my insulin level runs between 4.5 and 6.2. So my insulin levels are very low. I've lost about 50 pounds. I've been maintaining 50 pounds for the last 4 years, and I keep my insulin level very low. So try to keep your insulin level very low. People who are insulin resistant, they have high insulin level. Insulin resistance can be defined by having high sugar above 100 and having high insulin levels. People who have insulin resistance, typically they have high triglyceride, they have high blood pressure, they have a low HDL, the good cholesterol, they have sugar above 100, fasting sugar, and their waist diameter is above 40 inches for American men, 35 inches for American women, and 37 inches for Asian or Indian men, and 32 inches for Asian women, Indian women. So again, if you fall in that category, you may have insulin resistance and you may be at risk of many complications, including heart disease, including developing type 2 diabetes, including developing many cancer, Alzheimer's disease, and many of the vascular disease. So definitely avoid insulin resistance by all means. I have a separate video on diabetes on my YouTube channel. I have a separate video on pre-diabetes on my YouTube channel. Also, I did a separate talk for AARP on pre-diabetes. So please watch those videos. Again, AARP, just type in my name, Ajay Shah, pre-diabetes, AARP, and you will find that 1 hour long video. It's an excellent video. And if you have pre-diabetes, please watch that video. Also, if you have diabetes, watch my long seminar on type 2 diabetes. It's also available on YouTube. If you are watching this on Facebook, please share it on your page. If you're watching on YouTube, please like our page on Facebook, Healthy Living with Dr. Ajay Shah. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, share our page, invite your friends, and share this video with your friends and family if you think it will benefit. I will be doing another live in few hours. Have a great afternoon. Eat healthy tonight. Have a light dinner. Exercise. Spend time with your spouse, with your family, with your friends. Don't drink alcohol. Go to sleep early, and definitely not eat 4 hours before you go to sleep. Meditate if you can. Have a great evening and see you soon. Thank you.